Welcome to Belgrade, and thank you for speaking to Sport Klub. First of all, let's talk about tomorrow's game against Partizan. I didn't do my homework. Were you injured for the last year game between these two teams in Belgrade?
No. I played in the game.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you know the atmosphere.
Yeah.
What do you expect tomorrow?
I think the atmosphere is even better this season. So I expect sold out game, and I expect everybody electric. Everybody, no matter who Partizan plays, everyone's there. Being the loudest they can be. So I expect a great atmosphere and then a great game between two teams.
Comparing the first game of these two teams this season, now you have a lot of players back in your squad. A lot of injuries was back then in November.
Yeah.
How does it feel now when you have full squad actually on your?
I feel like we're improving in areas we need to improve in, which is our depth, and we're becoming more synced as a team. A lot of us played together last year, but we're starting to re-gel again, and obviously with a new coach, everyone's learning his system better, and we're becoming more comfortable with each other again.
I wanted to ask you about that new coach.
Yeah.
How do you like him? What was the first impression when you hear? Let that be the question. What was the first impression when you heard that Trinchieri is coming to town?
I mean, I didn't really have a first impression. It's always kind of sad when a coach is headed out and a new one coming in. I've kind of dealt with something like this at Maccabi, my first year in EuroLeague, so it's always kind of sad, but it's always exciting to see what kind of atmosphere a new coach would bring, especially one with his status and IQ that I've heard about. When I saw that he was coming, I contacted like some old friends that I knew who knew him, and I just asked them, how is he? How does he think on the court, his X's and O's, and how does he coach? So, once I learned that, I just kind of prepared myself for, a really smart, tough guy.
Smart and tough. So
yeah.
that would be the characteristics.
No. Just like he's smart, X's and O's, and he'll build you up, and when he needs to get on you, he'll get on you, and that's something that every player needs.
We met him here. He coached here in Belgrade for almost 2 years, and we know about his funny statements.
Oh yeah,
saying a lot of interesting stuff. Giving us journalists always the headlines.
Yeah.
So, is there anything that you would say that he, for example, that you remember from some of his words? I mean, we've heard of those that timeout.
Yeah,
your guys don't play chess.
Chess, yeah, that was pretty funny because, during the timeout, I was so tired in that timeout, I wasn't really processing, like, he's really talking about chess right now. So after the game, like, a lot of friends sent me, and it was like, this is your coach? And I was like, yeah, like, so that was pretty funny. But he's had a lot of sayings that's been funny to me, but he turns every kind of question into a story, and it's kind of funny to me, but let's just say he's wise with his words. He has a lot of ways to explain stuff, and it always turns into a story. It's pretty funny.
I said it's good for us journalists, but when he speaks that kind of things to you guys, does it wake you up? For example, you said that it did woke you up.
Yeah. No.
How does that motivate you when you see that he has some different kind of style than the other coaches?
Yeah, because it doesn't always take yelling, and for him to kind of break it down and speak in a different way to kind of get through to a player to help them understand. It's kind of nice to kind of lighten the moment and kind of say a joke sometimes. So that definitely helps the moment. It helps everyone relax and be able to focus more and hopefully play better.
Kinan, last year wasn't so good one for you because of the injury. That was Achilles, right? What was your feeling when it happened, and what was your feeling through the how do you say?
Through the process of rehab. It was awful. Didn't really know what happened initially, but once I kind of laid there on the ground for a second, you felt something wrong, and I was like, I think I know what I just did. So it felt awful. Especially at that point in the season, I felt like I was just playing terrific basketball. The team's playing great. We're having fun. the fans were lively again in the arena, after a couple seasons of being at the bottom. And it just really hurt, laying in the hospital, getting surgery, and it was just like one of the longest nights of my life. I had never had a serious injury like that, and I hope to never have that again, but it was tough. Had some phone calls with friends, family during that time, but I just knew that after that, that night of sadness, I had to block it out, because after that it's time to rehab, and I knew that me feeling bad for myself and being sad all the time wouldn't help my rehab. So I had to let go of the hurt and just focus on the future, because I knew that I would be back in this moment, playing again and coming to a big packed gym like Partizan's and needing to have a good game.
You came back, of course, and now you are one of the most wanted players on your position. I remember leaving Kaunas, there were news that Žalgiris will not keep coach, cannot keep Kinan Evans. Everybody wants him. So
yeah.
What's your comment on that? For first, maybe I've just heard one that laugh.
Man, I don't. It's funny because for those, when I see those comments, people send them to me, I have no idea where they come from, because I'm sitting at home, I'm like playing Warzone and like some video games with friends, and I like pick up my phone in between matches and just like scroll on Twitter, and
Kinan Evans is Real
Kinan
Madrid.
Evans wants to go here, and I'm like, I do? I'm like, I do? I didn't even know that. So I'm learning this stuff about myself for the first time. But it's just, for me, I'm just telling people, this journalism, they're going to, try to get the story out. Maybe they heard that the team is interested, so they want to, start a little drama. It's how the internet works. So all that stuff is just like, I try to put it past me, because right now I can't even think about that type of stuff. I'm so busy on trying to get in this fight for the playoffs and focus on surviving this season. So it's just, you hear people talk about, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? But I don't really try to think about that, and I try to put that stuff behind me.
So you answered the question. If I would ask you about the next season, probably
I have no idea.
You have no idea, of course. Like every other basketball player in Europe, actually, because that's the market.
Exactly.
That's the thing here.
Man, life happens so fast. Like you never know what'll happen in a month or 2 months. So.
Your career has been quite interesting. I remember Igokea, then Israel.
Yes.
But then your second team in Israel, Maccabi, didn't appreciate you that much, I guess, because the playing time wasn't enough.
Yeah.
You didn't have so much ball in your hands as in the previous teams and as in Žalgiris.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, it's different. Like, basketball teams, even many other players in this league, different teams have you in different roles, different situations, and for that role I was with Maccabi, it wasn't really my role to kind of have the ball in my hands. We had other great players that that they wanted the ball in their hands more, and I was just trying to be that guy that played my role. And coming to Žalgiris, I've been in a different role where I'm able to flourish and be able to show my worth. And so it all goes back into just what that team wants you to do or needs you to do. I've just always been that guy that just does that. I try to do what my role is. So, I think they appreciated me still. They told me, so it was no hard feelings for them, but it was just my role at the time.
When you remember that part of your career in Igokea, I have to ask this because it's closest to our basketball, and it's this ABA League. How do you remember that part of?
This was my first season in Europe, man. It was different. That was my first time like really learning how to play over here. It was a difficult time. I'm sure you've been to Laktasi and like how small of you're like in a little village basically. So it was tough. That was my first time being so far away from family, and nobody really coming to visit me. And it was the season that ended with COVID. So it was just a lot going on, but it was a great, it was a great life lesson. It was a great time being away from the U.S. and really coming somewhere that I would probably never go and really learning another culture, eating chavapi every day, and it was just it was great. I made some good friends. You know, really took a step in learning another type of basketball, and you know, I got a taste of EuroLeague teams. You know, I got to play Red Star and Partizan. We got killed, but it was an opportunity to see, you know, the highest level teams over here, and I knew that, you know, I wanted to get to that point.
From Igokea, it seems that you made some pretty big steps going all the way to the EuroLeague, and now being one of the most wanted players at your position. So, from, as you said, well, one small village. Yeah. Now to the big scene. Yeah. How does that feel when you look back on those 4 or 5 years?
It feels amazing. Everything goes by, you know, so fast. Like right now when I'm thinking back on it, but in that moment it felt like, you know, you're kind of looking at it, you're like, man, is this really where I'm supposed to be right now? Is this my journey? And that's the one thing that's hard to not do, is question your journey. But you really just gotta, you know, just keep tunnel vision, look ahead, and focus on the now, and not try to live in the future. And that's what I try to do now. I try not to live in the future of what will I do, where will I be. I'm trying to just live in the present moment and, you know, make the best of it I can. But it's amazing to see how far I've come.
When you were high school, college, probably, I guess you dreamed of NBA. Yeah. Everybody does. Mm-hmm. Even journalists who never actually, who, seriously. Yeah. But then again, that dream for you, for example, still hasn't been there. So, do you regret that? And my other question would be, what would be, for example, your advice, a piece of advice for your friends, maybe basketball players who are struggling to find a position there? You know, going two-way contracts, G League. You know, I have no regrets coming over here to play, because I always feel like you can work your way back over if you play good enough to get a contract over there. But I'm all for, you know, a player wanting to get to the NBA, and, you know, even if they want to stay in the G League or take two-way contracts. But I would just say, don't let your dream, you know, something like that hold you back from, you know, making way more money than you could, and just seeing the world. Like I've seen, you know, guys that's in the G League for 5-6 years, and I'm just like, man, I don't know how you do it. Even if it's just for like a little 10-day contract, one a season, two 10-day contracts a season, I just can't. But I understand some people aren't, you know, built to come overseas and then live over here in a different part of the world where you can't really speak other languages, and, you know, it's a different world over here for us, for anybody outside of their country. But I would just say, man, you have to, whatever your choice is, whether you want to stay over there and keep chasing it, just know you always can still chase it over here. But also, you know, don't be afraid to take a leap of faith. Nothing. I'd say most of the time, you don't really get stuff from being too comfortable. You have to be comfortable, you have to learn how to be uncomfortable. There is a saying, I don't know if it's saying in English, but in Serbian, there is no good sailor who only went through the peaceful sea.
Exactly. That's exactly what it is, man. Everything's not going to be flowers and lilies and, you know, sunshine. So, you know, even over here, you know, I'm sure when players think about, you know, coming over here, they always hear about the worst situation. Oh, this team doesn't pay and this and that. And of course, like, that was one of the worries that I had coming over here. But you gotta block all that stuff out and just, you know, go for it.
Coach Trinchieri said that when players play in front of the crowd, like Žalgiris, like Partizans, they're 30% better. So is that maybe also one of the stuff that is for coming here to play in Europe, for coming to play in front of this crowd?
Yeah, for sure. You know, I mean, everybody sees it. NBA crowds are kind of different. I'd say obviously for playoffs, they're more amped and excited, but over here the atmosphere is just it's insane. I mean, your home advantage is insane, and it's funny thinking back at Igor Kia, my first game against Partizan when he was the coach. They came to play in Laktasi, and it was like a home game for them, which is the funny part. And it was kind of embarrassing because I was like, this has never happened before.
But it's a tradition.
Yeah, for sure. And it was funny because the night before, I heard like people popping firecrackers, and because I guess the bus arrived they came the night before, I guess. And man, I was like, this is crazy. I was like, this is a home game for them. And then as soon as the game started, everybody threw like tissue or like something on the court, and I was like, man, this isn't a normal home game. I don't think the 30% counts today. So, but yeah, no, it's amazing coming over here and experiencing this home crowd, especially with fans like Žalgiris fans.
Kinan, thank you very much for this interview. I hope that you find it interesting to speak for Sport Klub. And
thank you so much.
Thanks.